On today's podcast, I had Gino and Chandler on. If you don't know, these kids are 23 years old, making millions of dollars wholesaling real estate. They're building other types of businesses. It's super inspiring to see. But what really stuck out to me during this conversation is how willing they are to learn and just really invest in themselves. They have such great mentors. I actually met them when they came to golf with me. And just knowing them the past 4 or 5 months, I've gotten to just see firsthand, like, how strategic they are and how quickly they take action and implement things. So we go over a lot of those things, especially if you're a young entrepreneur right now, like what actions you should be taking to get around the people that you really want to learn from. Learning this game or any kind of business on your own is super tough, and these guys have realized it from the beginning that it's much easier to fast track by just getting around the right people. So we talk a lot about that, as well as what it looks like to build a business, both for the short term and the long term. So it's a really good conversation that I think you guys all need to watch until the very end. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest.
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
Innovate.
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
And inspire. I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You're now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. Today, I've got two, I want to call them young kids with me that are making millions of dollars, doing hundreds of deals. They're in the real estate space. I actually met these guys a few months back when they paid to golf with me, and I was just super impressed with how far along they were at just 23 years old. I mean, they already have an operation that's doing multiple millions in wholesaling, and they're doing many of the things I'm doing right now that took me a decade longer to learn. And it's just really cool to see how these guys are just absolutely crushing it. I got none other than Gino and Chandler. What up?
What's up, guys?
How
Thanks
are
for
you
having
guys?
us on,
I
Pineda.
appreciate the good words.
I don't even think you guys have last names. You're just Gino and Chandler.
Exactly. We'll put them together.
We're a couple.
Yeah.
Little couple.
Yeah. So for those who don't know you guys, who are you?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and go first. Again, my name's Gino Palomba. I actually do have a last name.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a last name. I'm 23, live in Atlanta, Georgia, Metro Atlanta. And I started real estate investing at 19 while still in college. And so I just graduated last August of 2021. And since then, since I was 19, just freaking going hard as I can in real estate. I did have a background, similar to Pineda's. You started your journey doing entrepreneur stuff. When I was 12, I was flipping Kobe's, like the Easter Kobe's. I would wait in line with my mom, 6th grade, and buy like the Easter edition Kobe's or KD's, and I would sell them for, $50 more on eBay.
Yeah.
I felt like I made hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I did stuff like that, sold stuff from China, all over, just trying to make that money. I never wanted to work for someone. I knew in the beginning, since I was like 12 that, hey, I wanted to control, my destiny. So
Right.
What about you, Chandler?
Yeah, so my name's Chandler Saine. And all the stuff he's saying is like when we met when we were like 11, we played baseball together. He was hustling from like day one. It's like whether we were just trying to hit in the cage, he was like trying to negotiate with you to get in there. So he's always been like that. It's pretty funny. But who am I? So I started real estate in 2020. I came on with Gino. Then, but before that, I was doing some digital marketing stuff. So I was doing like SEO, some Facebook ads, and then also like I was doing like sales and like project management stuff for my dad's landscape construction company. I was like 19. So I've been doing that for like 4 years. So I had a bunch of experience in like leading like, teams of people. We're managing projects.
The SEO was for your dad's company?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So like he was like, just to give you like a quick number, like in a year, he went from like 100 visitors a month on his website to like 3,000. So I was like,
Big up.
so like, he's like, yeah, like I asked him the other day, I was just curious. It's like a couple years later, or it was a handful of years later. And he was like, I was like, how much business do you do from the SEO? He's like, dude, like 40% of my business now. So like
Yeah, look
he's
at
doing
that.
like over $1 million. So I'm like, dang, like you're welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for,
You should have given me
Dividend.
equity.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. But anyways, so before that, like I was big into sports. So I went to college and I wrestled for a year. I played baseball my whole life. So we all kind of share that same
Yeah.
All the boys
path.
here.
But yeah, so pretty much for me, like as far as real estate going, I started in 2020. Basically, I actually called Gino up because I was like working with my dad at the time. And I was like, dude, I got this awesome idea. He was like, dude, let's come and do that with me. And that was in 2020. I think at the time we did maybe like 200K in the year. And then we finished at 700 once we started doing like the marketing and all
What
that.
year was this?
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And you were doing real estate with who before?
I was not doing real estate at
Oh,
all.
you weren't, but
Yeah, I
you
was
just
just
heard
doing.
about this thing.
Yeah,
Well,
I
he
heard,
was roommates
I
with
was
us too.
roommates
Let's
with
fast
him
forward
too.
that too.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
roommates with
So
us, so he saw us doing it every day, the
yeah.
work, and
So like I
so
already knew about it and I already like seen a bunch of videos and stuff. But anyways, like I like had this idea, I hit him up and like I implemented it. And like instantly we doubled our deals. Like our best month before was like 1 or 2 deals or 1, 2 contracts. And then instantly we got 4 like back-to-back weeks contracts in a week. I was like, holy shit.
yeah,
And
it works.
it worked really well. And then ever since then we just kind of been going
Kind
up.
of keep growing it and
Yeah.
growing it.
So
So that first year in 2020, you guys did 700K
Yeah.
wholesale
So
fees.
so just to backtrack real quick. In
Yeah.
2019, when I started, or excuse me, yeah, full year of 2019, we did 200,000, 20 deals. My first year, I had another partner at the time, and so that's what we did. And then Chandler came in 2020, and that's that year we did around 700,000.
Mm.
Um,
And how
yeah,
did last year look?
yeah. Last year we did 1.8.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Dude.
1.8 in last year.
20. You guys were just
20
barely
20,
able to drink
21.
last year.
yeah.
And just making millions of dollars.
Trying our best, and it was a big thing with we're going to talk about our presentation, during the Future Flipper event, but just how education helped
Yeah.
speed it up, knowing having no one, you didn't have YouTube videos when you started out, really,
No, I didn't.
you didn't have educators that were out front, they're all hiding, sharing all their information, you're keeping all the information for themselves, and now we took advantage and, we've paid to, have those mentors teach us these things to get us to that 700 to 1.8 because that's, a big jump.
That is a big
And,
jump.
Um,
and one of the things like with education that we do really well, because like in my opinion, getting better is pretty easy. And I say that like figuratively, it's straightforward. There's a straightforward framework. Because like literally just look and say, okay, what do I want my business to look like? Like, well, if we want to see a 7-figure business, like all we need to do is see it. And then like, we realize where we're at comparatively. And then we just figure out how to bridge the gap. Like what's the biggest lever that's going to get us there? And like we realized people was like probably the most important thing. Like I was asked the question the other day, is like, why are you guys so much more successful faster than other people? It's like, well, we got lucky with finding great talent, honestly. And,
Right.
like, we
Lucky or
didn't have to worry
skill.
about it.
Yeah. No, 100%. The key to scale is always people.
Yeah.
People and processes, right? But that's super cool, man. It's funny. Side note, I'm looking at the camera right now while we're filming, and you both are in these identical black shirts.
Yeah, we
You
are
guys just
twinning
looking like
bad.
twins, man. Look
I
at
don't
these
know.
guys right
That
now.
is, look
If you're
at that.
watching the
Hey,
YouTube
damn.
channel right now,
I just see my chain on. I just see my chain on.
and you guys did come in here looking like bums. So I think
Are you calling us bombs over here,
Come
man?
on,
I had a little
that's-
swag.
This is the Lulu.
unless you're Chandler's idol, Alex Hormozy, and
Yeah,
you've already
exactly.
made it, you can dress, like
Exactly.
a lumberjack or
At
jean shorts, whatever you want to wear. But
least I got a haircut for today.
yeah, we need to get you a little more presentable as we.
Okay. Well, maybe
go
you
to
can
this.
take me to like a store.
You can take me
pick
to
me out.
Cuts. Take me
Yeah.
to Cuts.
I'll get you a cut
Sponsored.
Yeah, that's right.
Sponsored.
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about mentorship, right? Because there's no way to accelerate as fast as you guys have, just figuring that out on your own, right? Like that much is clear. So, who are some of your mentors? Like, what did you first do?
Yeah, so when I first started looking into mentorship, it was a little bit just before Chandler came on. It was Steve Trang was my first big real estate mentor.
Yep.
And we're all familiar with Steve. But Steve helped me, really the most important thing Steve helped me with was sales training. Because we know majority of businesses, I would say almost all are marketing and sales, even our real estate wholesale business. I mean, reality is it's nothing to really do with real estate. If
Yeah.
the gold was worth more, and Darren talks about this, I believe, if gold was worth more than real estate, it's 400 or 500,000, we would wholesale gold. I mean, it's the same, premise. It's marketing and sales, off market deals, and we got to sell them, via talking to sellers and to buyers. And so that's what was a big help that Steve Trang did for me. My first mentors give me a sales process, show me how to really talk to sellers, not the way I was just, hey, because I did 20 deals the year before, right? 200,000. But, I just did that just free doing, just doing how
Figuring
I felt,
it out.
just figuring it
Right.
out. And then now when process came into play and I knew how to say this when a seller says that and go this way when a seller goes that way, that was able to obviously increase our deal flow as well.
Yeah.
And so that was a big first mentor to me.
Nice. Yeah. Steve's a good guy, man. Like, I've gotten to know Steve over the years, and we use him for, sales training with my team. And he's, here's the other thing with mentors as well is, not only can you learn a lot from them, which obviously you did from Steve,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they open up the door to other
Yep.
relationships that, you want to really learn from.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would say the next big one, like, well, we invested in Tiffany High's virtual coaching course.
Yep.
It's like they have like 5, it's like 10 hours of videos or whatever.
Yep.
And that was really instrumental. But what you're saying with Steve is like we got into CG because of Steve into Collective Genius. And like without collective genius, there's no reason, like we're not where we're at. You
Right.
know?
And you guys started, I remember, who was it? It might have been Jason Medley. He's the founder of
Owner.
Collective Genius. I
Mhm.
think he was telling me about you guys. He's like, yeah, we got these young bucks, Gino and Chandler, that want to meet you. And
Really?
I was like, tell me about what they do. He's like, man, they're in CG Select, which is kind of like their, I guess, lower
Minor
one.
leagues,
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to, build up, and they're going to be our first kind of select to, up ascend to, normal CG, I guess. I don't even know
Yeah,
what they
it's
call
Premiere.
it.
Premiere, yeah.
Premiere. And sure enough, you guys did, and you guys crushed it really fast.
Yeah, I think it was the big thing, like you mentioning is, how do we get in touch with Jason again? He's the owner of that Collective Genius, a mastermind full of real estate entrepreneurs and investors.
We were all
And-
doing like hundreds and hundreds of deals.
Yeah, so just to give
Yeah.
you a background on Collective Genius, but Jason's the owner, and we're purposeful with what we do and say. I mean, I got friends of Steve, I have mentors of Steve, like Pineda said. And then I was really close with Pace Morby too, as well, because Steve connected us. With Pineda now, and obviously having some mutual friends, also with Kong. We became friends just all by just building relationships. That's why I feel like I do best. And then it led us here. I knew, yeah, and I know we're going a little bit backwards and off the train of thought, but what I'm getting to is, we invest the money into these masterminds, into education, and it doesn't just build us, like Pineda says, build us in terms of, our business and how we should do things. But now, we paid $5,000 to golf with Pineda. Now we're sitting here on the podcast, and now we're also at the event, and now we built a friendship. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And now, first off, you mentioned Kong. You don't really need to build a relationship with that guy.
Big Kong, just know him.
It's not going to help you at all.
Yeah.
But no, second thing is with, what you guys are doing and, relationships. Just in the span of meeting you guys a few months ago, right? Like we ended up doing another mastermind that you guys were a part of. You guys are now, speaking at this one. We've crossed ideas, and, there's just a whole bunch of things that, by just taking initiative and putting yourselves out there, you're just accelerating into the right rooms, because
Exactly, yeah.
I remember for me, it took me so long to get in the right rooms because I was so cheap. I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
freaking, if somebody wants to do business with me or know me, they're going to know me based on like my value.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly,
like,
yeah.
you know what, dude? Like there's a million people that want to meet that person, right? Like,
Mhm.
so you can meet them by just kind of waiting and hoping and
Mhm,
Praying,
by
yeah.
chance.
yeah, like, and
Yeah.
you might meet them in 5 years from now, but if you can go meet them today,
Yeah. Then
Exactly.
like, well, it's
Yeah.
like it's just about intention. Like if you know that, hey, look, like we get around you, like we go play golf with you, like sure, like maybe like we don't get like direct value, but the value we're getting is learning how you think, like just how you look at problems. Like it's like literally like I was telling someone the other day, I was like, Ryan has $1 billion skill of the way he just thinks and perceives situations. Like there's just the way you think about it and you use your resources and all that. Like that's been instrumental, even though I can't directly say like, oh, this made me this much more money or that did that.
yeah,
But
this
it's like
piece of advice. Yeah.
because of that, like now it's like the hockey stick effect. You just start compounding all
And
these
your
different
brown nose
things.
and Pineda on the
I know.
podcast.
No, Chandler, what do you want?
Dude,
what do you
Hey,
want?
I really just want that outfit. I'm gonna be honest. I just need to be looking nice.
You want
You
the
know,
I want your approval.
I got some extra mediums that I think
Extra
fit you
medium.
pretty good.
Dude, that's perfect. As
For-
long
for
as
those
it
you
can
don't-
make me look bigger.
for those you don't know, the first time I met Chandler, he was like, he's telling me about what he does and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. And within I guess 1 minute of meeting him, he said, hey, I also run ultra marathons. And I was like, oh, really? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah.
Because once you meet a guy who runs marathons,
They want to tell you.
they want to tell you all about it, just like CrossFit. And I think Chandler does CrossFit too. so-
I actually don't do CrossFit, sadly. I should
Okay.
start though.
yeah.
Don't get them excited about it.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
When did you run your last marathon?
So 2 weeks ago, actually, I ran 30 miles. So I'm training for a 50 miler on August 6th. And like,
I
I'm
know,
not gonna go
I'm
deep.
Get 'em,
I'm not gonna
baby.
go too. I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but basically the last 30 miler I ran and climbed Pikes Peak as like a 14er,
Oh,
which
14er,
14,000
bro.
foot mountain.
oh,
and-
okay.
and
I
like-
know the slang.
Yeah. Sorry, Colorado slang.
the
over here.
14er.
Oh,
The
and,
14ers.
and I was coughing up blood like 28 miles into the run.
Oh, sheesh.
So like, I mean, I'm not gonna get too deep, but like, Mom, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. But yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
I was.
Quick story. I know this is a business podcast, but I'm eating with my girlfriend or fiance now at dinner, and I get a call, random call, and I don't recognize the number. I say, sorry, I can't talk right now. Right? It's Chandler. Call me now, immediately. Shoot. I call him. He's like, bro, call my parents now. Get him on the phone because he had his other person's phone number. He didn't have his parents'
My
number
phone was dead.
saved. And so he's like, call my parents now. Call my parents now. I'm like, okay. So I call his parents. His
Well,
dad doesn't answer. His mom doesn't answer. So then I end up calling his brother. Long story short, Chandler's freaking me out. I text him, I'm like, bro, are you gonna die? Because I know he was on this big race in the mountains. I said, you're gonna die. Tell him what you tell me.
I said, I'm not sure yet. Because like I looked at my watch and it tells me like my blood oxygen level and it said 74 and I was like, oh my God.
dang.
Like I'm like getting close. And like I felt really lightheaded and like I looked in the mirror, I didn't look good. But anyways, I was kind of freaking
But
myself
you just
out.
you finished the race.
It wasn't a race. I just went and ran in the woods with my buddies. Actually, Justin Bourne, one of the future
Just of his
flippers.
buddies.
Oh,
Yeah.
you ran with Justin?
Yeah, him and his psycho friend who's just absolute beast. Like I couldn't keep up. And like we were going, we went really fast. And I was like, but anyways, it was great. It was a great experience.
So Justin finished.
Yeah, we all finished. It was 34 miles, but I quit 4 miles short because I figured it wasn't great for me to run the last 4 miles coughing up blood. So,
No, not at
you know,
all. I didn't realize Future Flipper had so many ultras. You know,
Yeah.
Brian Davila started like a run club.
Oh, really?
At Future Flipper too, like because he likes to run. And I literally don't remember the last time I ran a mile.
Yeah, me either. I'm
Yeah.
with you on
I just
that.
lift weights and hit golf balls.
That's a good motto.
That's right.
Hit
I like
weights.
that.
Hit golf balls and weights. That's it.
That's
I like it.
That's
There's not
do
many
nothing better.
marathoners that make a lot of money, but these golfers are getting paid.
The
Yeah,
golfers
exactly.
do get paid.
Live.
Yeah, I mean, really running these marathons and stuff is more about like the pushing yourself in the mental aspect, and like it's like the achievement side. Like you know, if you go and like that run, for example, like your legs are throbbing after 25 miles running in the mountains. Like I ran like 10,000 feet of vert. I like
vert.
and like for anyone who's here, but it's more about just the mental side because like you go through this, you're like, man, like you're physically in pain, you're mentally in pain, but then like you get hit with like a small problem, you're like, whatever. It's
It reminds me of David Goggins, you know,
Yeah.
reading his book and stuff. Just with like, it's just a mental grind. And, you know, I've thought about that too in my businesses and everything else. Like, you know, I want to put myself through really hard things, even though I don't have to, because like once you reach a certain point of say financial wealth, a lot of people get content, they get fat, you know, in all aspects, physically, you know, whatever it is. And it's just like, yeah, you know, you have to practice like putting yourself in hard things and tough positions and
keeping your composure in those moments because like you know in the woods like I'm coughing up blood but like ultimately I'm like I'll probably be fine but you know I could have broke down and started crying or I don't know what could have happened but
if you're listening to this podcast, then my guess is you're interested in real estate investing. Some of you are just starting out while others are trying to scale their business to the next level. But the problem is with so much information out there, most people don't know which program or coach to trust. Well, I'm a bit biased, but I believe my company, Future Flipper, can help you get to the next level. We've coached thousands of students from all over the world on how to build their real estate investing business. It doesn't matter whether you want to flip, wholesale, or buy rentals. Our coaching program has everything you need to become a great investor. There are many things that we include with coaching, but to give you a few examples, you're going to get an accountability coach. These are people that have had success in their own business, and they want to make sure that you achieve success in yours. We also have all of our documents, our systems, and processes that I've used to buy hundreds of homes. You can copy and paste them directly into your own business. And we have events where you get to meet me, top-level guest speakers, and other students who are crushing it. My students do deals with each other, and I personally do deals with them too. In fact, at a recent event, I just honored over 20 people in our program that made over $1 million in the last year. So if you want to grow your real estate business, head over to futureflipper.com and apply for a call with our team. The call is completely free, and they can help point you in the right direction whether you work with us or not. So go to futureflipper.com and book your call today. For the last year, the real estate market has been on absolute fire. Prices are at all-time highs, interest rates are at all-time lows, and there is more money in the economy than ever. But with so much competition, many investors are sitting on cash, struggling to find great deals. If this sounds like you, then you need to invest with Pineda Capital. With my network and social media following, we get access to the best real estate deals all over the country. And if you're an accredited investor, you can invest with me on those deals. In fact, last year we purchased a 334-unit apartment complex in Georgia for almost $20 million. We expect it to be worth well over $30 million when it's all said and done. Our goal with each deal is to build in so much equity from the beginning that we're able to refinance our investors' cash out and own the properties together with little to no money into the deal. And the best part is, you don't have to do anything. Our team will find the deals, handle the renovations, get them leased, and eventually refinanced or sold. All you have to do is provide the capital. So if you want exclusive access to our deals before they hit the public, go to pinedacapital.com to schedule a call. We can put your money to work today to start getting you great returns. So go to pinedacapital.com now to get access to our deals. Yeah, I remember too, we played basketball back in Arizona.
This is a hard moment, actually.
This was about 2-3 months ago at Collective Genius, and Chandler had been talking all this crap, just like, you're not going to beat me. You're not going to beat me. I remember he freaking checked me on the court.
Oh, shoot.
Like, I was like, okay.
It's time.
Yeah. All right. You want to play like that?
He came for my ball.
Yeah. This guy playing like a lineman on the basketball court. And so what did I do? That game, we were down like, I don't know, 4 points. Just freaking first off pulled up on him from NBA range.
It was
drained
it
it
was
on him.
Steph Curry in my face. Like,
Yeah.
and there's a video of it too that he
There is video.
immediately
There's video.
posted on his story.
Yep. And then next possession, take him to the rack. Freaking
He took you to the rack.
Just-
He
layup
took me
right
for
on him.
he took me for the layup, and
Yeah.
honestly, like I had to retire. I think I'm
well,
gonna hang
no,
up
that
this-
wasn't the end of it because the
One
next
more.
the next play, we were down 4. They only needed like a point. Next play, pulled up from 3 again on him. Game over.
and that's all true. Like as,
It is
as
true.
much as I wish it wasn't true, like you got to come back so I can redeem myself.
I
He's
know.
never
Actually,
coming
join-
back. He's never coming
Yeah,
back.
he's gone forever. Like it's over.
Yeah, I play basketball every so often. But Gino, dude, let's talk about what you got going on. I'm tired of Chandler. So
He's got the good stuff.
yeah, what I've noticed about you is obviously you're running the company, very successful, but you got this passion for travel too, So how's that play into, building this business by kind of design?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we built the business, or when I started this business in 2019, I built it knowing that I just came back from Europe and I went on like a 2-week trip with my parents. And so I came back from 2 weeks from Europe and I was like, I want to be able to travel the world. I want to be able to live in Europe. And this again back in 2019. I want to do all these things on my own time, control my own lifestyle. And so I built the business virtually. And what that means is we no longer, or we never did, go into in-person appointments when we're going to go buy a house, right? Instead of going on appointments in person, we do it over the phone. Closings, they're virtual closings. A lot of the times I sign the paperwork online. All our marketing is directed towards, it's not door knocking where I was going knocking doors. No, it was texting, cold calling sellers. And so I built this business virtually so that I was able to do that eventually. Now, obviously in 2019, I didn't have the money or the resources just to start living in Europe and doing whatever I wanted to do. But fortunately, at the end of last year, 2021, when I graduated college, I had the resources available, business built out. Chandler is already in the business right last year. And, we had a team where I could go out there, and we did. Me and my girlfriend went out there for 80 days in Europe, all the countries, majority of the Western countries, and just freaking, I loved it. And it was just freed my, a whole different, for you guys that have gone there, you know what I'm talking about. But when you get over to another, even just visiting another country, it just opens up your perspective, allows you to think, it allows you to see things in other people's viewpoints. In Europe, they're not working as hard. They're more enjoying their life. And, obviously they still work, but, they take breaks during the day. They have, different activities to where it's not just grind, 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 grind. And then, being around that lifestyle lets you enjoy more of like, you need to spend time thinking with yourself and come up with new ideas.
Yeah, it's funny about the difference in like quality of life and how Europeans walk and just like do things. Like I was in New York last week or so, and I remember walking through everywhere. I'm like, dude, I gotta walk so much in this place.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not an ultra marathoner. Like, how am I supposed to get around the city
Yeah.
everywhere? And I started to notice, I'm like, dude, there's not really many fat people in New York. Like, it's just like everybody's pretty fit. And then somebody else was telling me, they were like, yeah, in Europe, it's the same way. Like, you walk around a lot and like, so everybody's pretty fit. But like in other places where you don't have to do that, you sit, you drive, and that's kind of where obesity happens.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree for sure.
It's easy to let it slip.
Yeah.
Like especially if you've played sports your whole life or whatever, like, and you stop working out.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice, honestly, to take a break.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
But
So
go ahead. Sorry, Ryan.
I was gonna say, so like, what's next for you guys, man? Like, you guys are crushing it. What's the plan?
So this year we're going to even scale even more. We're going for 5 million this year in the wholesaling business, as well as we have a couple other companies that we've started to grow, an education company as well, but also have some rentals And so our main focus though is growing that wholesaling and the education company as much as possible this year. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I remember during our golf trip, uh, one of the things you asked me was like, "How are you building all these companies simultaneously?" Like, that's
Mhm.
kind of what we want to do, build these different verticals. And I've had many entrepreneurs ask me this same question. Basically on how they should go about it. Like, is this the best way, or should they try and just grow one company versus trying to grow a bunch all at once? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
what did you guys take from that conversation?
I mean, what I took is that you need the right person uh to be working in that other company. So if it's like going to be, let's say it was me and Gino had to go and grow this other business, then it wouldn't be a great use of our time because we can, if we were going to like take that from zero to like, let's say $1 million a year versus take ours from 1.8 to 5 million,
Hmm.
it's worth way more time to take it to 5 million,
Right.
especially like if we're going to use our time. But like we found a guy, Ryan, he's our COO for Level Up.
Hmm.
It's our, just what our coaching program's called. And like, he's a beast. We literally say, hey, we should do this. And like, he goes and does it. And like, it's so like with that, it's like now all we need is just a
Yeah,
couple
we
ideas.
multiplied like 5 times,
Yeah.
Yeah.
our income just, per month off that,
Right.
right? So it's the key is finding that who, not how, which I know we talked about Pineda a lot, is just finding that person, that who to help, make your how come to life. And, that's finding that good COO, those integrators, and as well as, strategic partnerships like you've done with
Right.
all your companies where you're not in that business working on it as much, but just coming up with those ideas and
Right.
pushing forward, the vision.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of my time is spent, obviously looking at all the businesses from a high level and then stepping into where I see like a need at that moment in time, right? So like maybe Future Flipper's about to have like a big launch or something. It's like, all right,
Exactly.
like I need to go spend the next few weeks here, like making sure we do this correctly.
Mhm.
Or maybe one of them is struggling, right? It's like, all right, why is Home Run not getting deals? Like let's hop into Home Run and
Yeah.
figure this thing out, right? Lunar, man, we're launching a new software. We're trying to hire VAs at scale. We're trying to implement this new strategy. Like there's a
Mhm.
crap load going on. Like, so even in that case, I just said this on a vlog that I filmed. Like, I'm going to go work down there because we have two offices. I'm going to go
Mhm.
work down there for the next quarter,
Yeah.
and just keep an eye on everything and
Yeah.
make sure we're doing what we should do.
If I kind of like, just to simplify it down to like where maybe some people can relate to a little bit too, is like it's kind of like what we do is like, even just as like a COO for like our company, like I manage the directors. So it's like they're each own kind of company. And like let's say right now, like for example, I'm pretty heavy into dispositions because the market's shifting.
Right. You're
So
plugging yourself
I'm
in.
plugging myself in to make sure that we're doing this stuff
Plug and play.
well, we're doing it right. We can scale up multiple different salespeople, whatever it is. And like this sounds like it's kind of like the same thing you're doing, but obviously it's a little bit higher leverage because you're working on a company versus like a department.
Yeah. And, obviously all the departments have their own heads and everything, but
Hmm.
like what basically I'll spend my time doing two main things. One, actually three. One is creating content, right? That just is the marketing engine for
Hmm.
everything, right?
Yep.
So that's a lot of time. Two is R&D. So I'm spending a lot of time thinking about the future of all these companies and like
Hmm.
what moves we need to make strategically to be where we want to be, right? So I think a lot about home run offer, right? I'm like, man, where's the market going? Like, what are the
Mhm.
next moves we need to make for the coming 6 to 12 months if, we're going to be in this different environment, right? With Future Flipper, what are we going to do to consistently grow? And like, what are the big moves on that, right? And so we've done some other strategic partners within Future Flipper where we're now taking, really, I guess, more niche people. We just signed the Boakley brothers to a deal, so they're in Future Flipper now, and so they're going to be doing, a boot camp for MLS and for
Nice.
luxury flips, right? Like
Hmm.
its own little thing. We
Yeah.
we signed a partnership with Heather Blankenship for a women's mastermind, and so it's
Nice.
like, okay, these are the next plays for Future
Gotcha.
Flipper.
So like, because like I've thought about this too for like just our education companies, like you're kind of like becoming like a platform for these other people to launch their
Yeah,
programs almost.
because it becomes that Future Flipper is more of a community and a network than it
Hmm.
is. Well, and it,
One
it is
product.
it
It's
is
like
a
an
coaching program,
ecosystem.
but it is an ecosystem where it's like anything real estate investing. If you want to watch content, we get the Future Flipper media.
Yep.
You want to, get into coaching with me, there's this. If you
Hmm.
want this specific niche, there's that, right? So, we'll sign an Airbnb person, we'll sign,
Yeah, yeah, I
you
like
know,
that. So you're making it more like a agency, of education for real estate.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they're all still future flipper.
Yeah, they're all under one. It's kind of I
Yeah.
gotcha.
So that's kind of our main goal. But like it took me thinking about that strategically
Mhm.
of like, okay, like what's
Yeah.
the next phase of this?
Yeah, how far do you think out? Because I feel you gotta have a balance of like thinking like in the next 90 days, and also a balance of thinking in 5 year terms. Like where are
Yeah.
we headed?
I think it's important to have like a big vision goal of where you want to be and then 90 days. Like I think that is
90 days,
like a good,
quarters. Yeah.
I measure the business in quarters. So each
Mhm.
business has a quarterly initiative.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll give you an example at since we're talking about Future Flipper, right? Like our quarterly initiative this year was to or this last quarter
Quarter.
was to launch Future Flipper social media channels. And so
Yeah.
we've done that. It's done great. I think the YouTube's got almost 6,000 subs. The IG's got almost 30,000 followers. Like
Mhm.
it worked
It's
out great.
done.
Yeah.
So now as we go into this next quarter, it's launching these new partnerships that I talked about, right? And I don't know what Q4 will look like for it yet until we
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
But the big picture is I would love for Future Flipper to be this, company that can do just, I don't know what the full potential is, but maybe it can do 30 to 50 million a year in revenue. And
Yeah.
it's a community. It's this place that, everybody knows they can learn for free. They can join any kind of program they're looking for. There's the best content creators as a part of it. There's the best experts. And like, that's my vision for it overall.
Yeah. I like that. Like I think, kind of what you're even talking about, just like keeping it simple is like you're just pulling a big lever, like starting the social media channels. Seems simple. Obviously, it's not. There's a lot of moving parts. But
Mhm.
like when we're doing our quarterly planning for Q3 coming up for the wholesale company, is like we're like even just like our departmental initiatives are like let's only like last time we messed up and we did like way too many detailed things, but like now it's like, hey, let's just do this one thing really well
Mhm.
because instead of doing five things like halfway,
Right.
And I think that's like it's like a simple thing because you think more is more, but more is usually less.
Yeah. No, 100%. So, yeah, I spend a lot of time on R&D just thinking about the future and how that looks on a daily basis is obviously I'm coming up with ideas, but I'm gathering information from the team on a day-to-day basis to make those future decisions.
Yeah,
So, like when I
gotcha.
say, hey, I'm going to spend the next quarter like down with Lunar to, do these things, it's because, last quarter we built a brand new software that, is worth a lot of money and like we're
Mhm.
implementing it and it's great. And I got feedback from the last couple of months with that software. And now I'm able to make a decision on, hey, where do I think this e-com market is going in the next year?
Mhm.
And we can start basically making the levers that are going to take us there because it's just not going to happen tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take time
It's
to
a
go
lot.
basically shift this ship towards this way now.
Yeah.
And I think I need to see every single day like the feedback as we make that shift of
Mhm.
what problems we're going to encounter shifting.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of my day, but the third thing would be just simply building relationships. And so that's why it's important for me to do podcasts because I meet so many cool people on the podcast and that helps me build a lot of relationships.
Mhm.
Like I honestly think for anyone listening, and I'm glad you guys did it, but like starting a podcast is such a huge thing because, for instance, right? Chandler's idol is Alex Hormozy. We always make fun of this, right? So it's
Every
like,
Man
time.
crush, man crush.
it is. So, it's like, okay, if I wanted to go pick Alex's brain, probably can't even really do it for
Mhm.
most people,
Yeah.
right? But if I can, have this podcast that also helps him out, it gives him
Mhm.
exposure
Exactly,
and
yeah.
everything else. And so now it's a chance to, pick his brain on air, but also behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's a win-win.
Mhm.
And I've done that many times. And I'm sure, him and I will do other things together down the road.
Yeah.
And, um, but many of the people on my podcast, we end up being business partners and other things.
Yep.
So I think a podcast is great. So like that third lever I'm always doing is just making relationships in the podcast, on the golf course, at events. And so I just spent a lot of time doing that.
I think that's important. Like you're saying, it's podcast people. If you say, "Hey, can I give you a call?" and people tell me, "I can give you a call," I'm like, "No, man, I'm busy right now." But or you want to go out to eat? You want to get coffee? No, I'm good, man. But if they say, "Hey, look, come on my podcast. I have 100 listeners, or I do this
Whatever it
every
is,
week." Yeah,
right.
whatever it is. Then it's like, yeah, I'll come on there, and that's how you can get a lot of people, on your podcast. Like you said, then you can build a relationship. Then you can ask them the questions that you
Mhm.
want to get.
People love podcasts too. Like people just love talking about themselves and like answering all these questions. So it's kind of fun too. You get to see
Yeah.
like them have a great time.
You know what I've noticed is, as I look at and this is R&D again, I'm constantly looking at the future of content and like where the ball's headed, right? And so 2 years ago, I made the decision to, go heavy on TikToks and stuff when nobody was really doing it. And it sure enough played out that that was the main source of content
medium, yeah.
people
Yep.
like.
Yep.
So I'm starting to look at it now again. And obviously, I do all forms of content podcasts, 10, 15-minute YouTubes, TikToks, etc. Um, and I'm starting to notice that YouTube itself and the 10 to 15-minute version is starting to die more
Mm.
so. I think TikTok has skewed people's attention spans to that.
30 seconds, 60 seconds.
Yeah, they just don't want to like watch that. They can't
Yeah.
sit and watch one topic for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
They want to see it in 60 seconds,
Yeah.
right? But that may be the majority of the world. But then there's this other majority where they're the opposite. They want to know everything.
Mhm.
And so they'll sit there and listen to a 60-minute podcast because they want to learn everything they can. So like
Yeah.
I see that you're in one bucket or the other. Like
Mm-hmm.
the 10 to 15 minute, I think is the bucket that loses.
Losing right now.
It's like
yeah.
it's reverting because like people are polarizing, which would make sense, honestly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I have noticed personally is
Yeah.
and I'm the same way.
Mhm.
Like for me, the only content I personally consume right now are podcasts.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't watch 10, 15-minute YouTubes. I don't watch reels. I just, I only have so much time to be on social media a day.
Mhm.
And so I think, how do I want to consume whatever? And I always choose a podcast because personally, I don't really care about being entertained. I just want to like
Learn.
learn something.
You got your
Yeah.
kids for entertainment.
Exactly.
You don't need the podcast.
Well, and to
TikToks.
Chandler's, you said this earlier, like one thing that I look for a podcast is trying to just understand how these successful people think, right? They may not say anything super tactical, but I'm like, that's an interesting way to look at that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I never considered that.
Yeah, like just like this popped in my head. Actually, one of our mentors, Eric Brewer, he had told us one of the people he works with. Eric showed up late for a meeting, like 15 minutes, and the guy he was working with said, Eric said like, "Hey, sorry, I'm late, whatever," and the other guy said, "Hey, no worries. It allowed me to practice my patience." And like, like, like that's like obviously like that's not what he's thinking, but that's a very interesting way to spin that for your perspective too. It's like if you shift your thinking a little bit, it's like what can happen, maybe
Practice
that
the
results something
patience.
down the word,
Yeah.
down the line.
Yeah. Patience is key, man. And I think it's funny because, as we're kids, people are always like, be patient, be patient. And nobody's like, no, I want things now. And people always think too that, being patient is like being, I don't want to say content because content also can be portrayed as good or bad, but being patient is like being not driven,
Yeah, exactly.
And as entrepreneurs, everyone's like, man, like, let's get results. Like, let's push, let's drive and do
Yeah.
all this. But the way I look at patience is basically having, a big enough time horizon to do what you want to do. Right. So it's like, man, I don't need to become a millionaire tomorrow. Right. Like I'm willing to do these things and wait to do it. Right. I don't need to become, the biggest guy on social media this month.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm willing to go put out videos for the next 5 years and just kind of
Gross.
see what happens.
Mhm.
And that's patience to me because a lot of people are always just looking for the quick,
Get
easy
rich
way.
quick.
Yeah. Well, you also have like trade-offs too. Like, I mean, at this point in your life, like, is an extra $100 million going to do anything crazy for you versus like
$100 million would do
100 million,
something
okay,
pretty crazy.
okay.
No, extra
Yeah.
like 5 million.
No,
extra
let's
three-
say 5 million. But is it worth it for you? And like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Some people it is, some people it isn't.
Yeah.
What do you think about the
100
get?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, over here.
And,
100
if the Live Tour wants to give me 100 million,
Yeah,
then
Hey,
we'll take it.
we'll
Beneath
take
his
it.
I'm
own.
like, guys, the podcast, I'm gonna be traveling for a while.
yeah, I won't be here, guys. What do you think about the get rich quick gurus? Like, how do you balance like because obviously you're running ads and you're doing all this kind of stuff. How do you balance like not being that guy and being like the strong brand you are of like,
I just think I try to disqualify people from buying my stuff because then it gives you the people who truly understand like what it is they're doing, right? So like when I sell Future Flipper, right? This mastermind, I'm like, look, you're going to learn a ton at this event. Are you going to make money tomorrow implementing it? No, like it
Yeah.
takes time to build this foundation. And like, that's why you need coaching. Like there's going to be stuff that happens for the next year that you're going to need help with
Yeah.
getting through. And, if we can help you get, if you're brand new, you've done no deals, if we can help you do a few deals your first year, like that's amazing.
It's a win.
That's a huge win, right? Same thing with
Patience.
like the fund or ecom. I'm like, look, these are long term things. Like, don't look at this in the next few months or the next year. Like, this is years that we're really trying to build this for you. And we're going to keep getting better internally, and you're going to get better results too as we go along. And so when you start, I guess, retraining your clients and customers to understand like that you're in this for the long haul and all your decisions are made with the end in mind,
Yeah.
not the man, tomorrow we're panicking.
Yeah.
And that's what honestly makes me really mad about crypto. You know, as I'm getting into the crypto space and launching my NFT, those degenerates are like every
Panicking, yeah.
every day, dude. They're watching the market. And I'm like, look, I can guarantee you 10 years from now, Bitcoin's gonna be worth a crap load of money.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yep.
there's no doubt about it in my mind. I can guarantee you NFTs are going to be very like mainstream 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like everybody is going to have NFTs 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like it can almost, it's like, it'll be like everyone has a smartphone. As the world starts to go more digital, you need to be aware of which businesses are going to thrive in the future. One of the obvious ones is e-commerce. In fact, last year, e-commerce sales did over $4 trillion globally, and it's continuing to grow. Now, if you're like most people, you probably don't have time to learn a whole new industry and start a new business. But there is another way. You could partner with us at Lunar Ecom. We have over 300 e-commerce stores that we have created and managed for our clients. And the best part is, it's completely passive on their end. The business model is very simple. You cover the cost of creating and running the store. We handle everything else. We pick the products, we handle fulfillment, returns, and customer satisfaction. After all that, we split profits at the end of the month. This means that when you win, we win. If you want to learn more about how it works, you can watch our case study at lunarecom.com. I believe that the e-commerce space is going to continue to explode as the world goes digital. So make sure you're with the right partner who's going to be ahead of those trends. So go schedule a call with my team today at lunarecom.com if you want to learn about how we can start taking your passive income to the moon. Most people want to get rich at all costs. They make sacrifices with their family, their health, and their faith, all in the pursuit of money without even realizing it. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way? What if you could grow your wealth in all areas of life? Well, it's possible, and that's why I created The Wealthy Way. It's a community of people striving to grow together in all areas. And we have multiple tools for you to use that are completely free. You can get access to the Wealthy Way Planner, where you can set goals and hold yourself accountable on a daily basis. We also have our Wealth Builder Academy, which is over 4 hours of content teaching you how to manage your time, create the right goals, and all the biggest secrets I've used to grow my life, not only in my net worth, but in all aspects. Lastly, we have our Discord community where thousands of wealth builders are all over the world encouraging one another and growing together. And once again, all of this is completely free. There are no upsells, there are no hidden catches. For me, this is a passion project and I want to build a community of like-minded people. So if you want to start living the wealthy way today, go to wealthyway.com. There you can get all the free resources like the course, planner, and Discord community. So go to wealthyway.com.
Well, on your point, Kevin, I was watching a podcast with Kevin O'Leary on it. He was talking Bitcoin 2022, the conference, and like all these hedge fund managers are at this conference right now. So, and it's the first time he's ever seen it. Not that I know anything about it, but he's saying that there's all these guys he's talking to are the hedge fund managers again. So they think that Bitcoin's about to become investable for bigger institutions. So it's pretty.
Well, and a lot of hedge funds, right? Bitcoin doesn't have an ETF yet. So a lot of people are banking once that happens. Now, pretty much everybody can get exposure to it, and then it just blows it up too.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of factors that will blow it up
Oh, yeah.
beyond just that.
Yeah.
So my point is, for anyone listening, if you can just keep the long game in mind with everything you do and make all your decisions based on the long game, you're not going to get rich quick, but you're going to become wealthy overall. And, actually too, you might actually run into getting rich quicker than you thought.
Yeah, because people like that.
Well, yeah, and honestly, that's kind of what happened for me is I never anticipated social media would grow this fast or the companies would grow this fast. I'd always kept it long in mind. And it's just so happened that by taking the right long-term actions daily, it just started to compound on itself really fast.
Yeah. Well, and then people resonate with that too. They're like, oh, I get it. Like I don't need to give up everything to have it at all.
Yeah. Well, and two, I think this is part of the reason why I don't watch social media, because I don't want it to skew my own beliefs and plans because, it'd be easy to, see somebody else who's further along and be like, oh man, like, all right, I gotta play catch up. And once
Mhm.
you start saying I gotta play catch up,
Yeah, you're out of
that's when you're like making bad decisions. It's
out of
like
character. Yeah.
well, and it's like a gambler who's chasing
Oh
their
yeah, you
losses.
lose that money, and you want to put more and
You're
more
just
on.
chasing, right?
you're making emotional decisions, not tactical or logical.
Speaking of emotional decisions, someone made one
Yeah. Who-
earlier in the conversation.
Oh,
No, not early in the conversation, but when we came in. Yeah.
pre-show.
Yeah.
Chandler, what happened with this deal, dude?
Yeah. So this deal. So long story short, I'll keep it super,
Yeah, we'll keep it
super
simple.
short. This is a good learning experience for everyone here. So we double closed on the property. We sold it to someone else. Again, we made like $9,500 on the deal, so it wasn't anything crazy. The seller before closing, like no one did a final walkthrough before we bought the property and we sold it. They took all the cabinets, all the countertops, all
Like
the
the
used-
kitchen was
seller did.
just
the,
good.
the kitchen was good. It was like in
Who does that?
and they took it all and then they sold it or whatever happened. And then yeah, so the buyer is like coming after us and I wired them 14 grand because that's what they
Basically,
wanted.
Chandler made emotional. Back to the emotions. He made a very emotional decision because the buyers were bothering him. Say, hey, you can't. It's not in the condition it said it was. And so Chandler just quickly wired him 14K
It wasn't quickly. It was over a few weeks span.
or a
But
few weeks.
but there was some other steps we could have taken, but hey.
At the end of the day, that was just showing it. Brought it up for the emotional side of things.
Yeah, and I was giving him a little feedback on how I would have handled it because the reality is for anyone listening, in all businesses, not just real estate investing, there's always going to be disgruntled people, whether it's your own client, whether it's somebody you hired to do something,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's just part of business. And so it's like, man, how you solve problems is going to be very beneficial to your business and like dictate how you do things on a big scale going
Your
forward.
headspace too, like
Yeah.
we were talking about, like how much is that worth to hold for another 3 months in a lawsuit and
Yeah.
just to get it
Yeah.
done right now.
Yeah. And so, I mean, basically, what I told Chandler was, it probably was going to end up being something like that regardless, but still, it should have been like, man, okay, what can we
Handled
do
it.
to the seller? Because like what they did isn't right. Right.
Yeah.
And then with the buyer, right? Like it's not the problem wasn't a $14,000 problem. What can
Yeah.
we do to the buyer to like help them be realistic?
Yeah.
Right. And also, too, what can we do with the buyer where, it's made known like, hey, we want to have a long term relationship. And so here's the options. Like, if you do force us to pay you 14 grand or you pursue us, okay, that's your choice. But I can tell you, you're never buying a deal from us
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But if you want to work with us and like, I get it, like things didn't happen the way we wanted. We all kind of messed up. You didn't do a walkthrough. We didn't do a walkthrough. Like, we both jacked up. Like, if we can meet in the middle somewhere, like that's cool. Like, and then we'll move on and do more business.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't do it all that perfectly. I'll be honest. Hey, but that's why you learn.
Happened. You live, you learn.
What are you gonna
Lisa's
do?
14K versus $700,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I don't even know if I've ever talked about this publicly just because,
We'll
of-
cut it
of-
there.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
cut-
just know like with business, right? There's a lot of things that happen, and Sean Bob may or may not have lost $700,000 in a scam, and it was really stupid. But there was a lot of lawsuits and things happened, but we ended up getting the money back. So
Yeah,
I'll just leave it at that.
That's it.
But I told Gino as the owner, I go, hey, how you react when Chandler wires back 14K is
Yeah.
what are you gonna do when he messes up and
700.
screws up 700K?
Hey,
We're training right now.
Yeah, Sean Bob was crapping his pants, obviously.
I would be too.
But I think I don't know. I can't speak for myself, but I thought I handled it pretty.
Sounds like it got figured out.
Relaxed.
And
Yeah.
No hard feelings.
No, he's still, unfortunately,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
is
he's still
around me.
working.
He's still roaming around out there right now as we speak.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, he's been great. And we did a good job of rectifying the situation and figuring out how to solve it. It was actually a great learning. And that's honestly how your perspective is with all business. Like, man, bad crap happens every day. So like, how do you perceive it? And how,
Exactly.
for me, I was like, man, if we don't get this back, then man, that's a tough pill to swallow. It's a tough lesson to learn, but
Yeah.
you know,
Well, it's always different too, because like it's different when it's like money you actually lost versus like opportunity cost. Because
Yeah.
I feel like people don't take opportunity cost the same way as you probably should. Like, let's even something simple as like you weren't able to hire up to what you needed to get your team to. And like, each sales rep produce like $300,000 a month, and like you don't have enough sales reps or whatever, then like, your opportunity cost could be like $1 million because you can't hire people.
Right.
But I think that you should, like, I think also, like, just for people listening too, is like look at it both ways. Like you see, like, what did we lose? Okay, obviously, like we lost a good bit. You don't want to lose money, like 14 grand. Like I screwed up, like honestly,
Right.
whatever. But it will learn to do better. But from the opportunity cost, like as you're like operating your business too, is like what did you not do that you could have done or didn't execute that would have made you a lot more too? So
Yeah.
both sides. So
Yeah. I used to say that a lot with our sales team. I'm like, guys, we're wasting a lot of opportunities. Like, you don't realize like how many leads we should be closing and we're
Mhm.
not, and they didn't believe me. And I told them, I go, hey, I'm gonna hire like some really
Yeah.
good salespeople, and like you're gonna see those
Well,
leads convert.
Yep.
And it's funny, my sales manager messaged me last night, and he's like, yeah, Future Flipper is gonna have its first 7-figure month
Heck yeah.
this month. And I'm like, that's crazy. So like how much of it is from like paid traffic and like
Mhm.
generating more leads? He goes, honestly, the lead flow is still very similar.
Better
And he's
sales reps.
like,
Better
but
salespeople.
we just have better people.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, weird.
Someone said
crazy what-
something about that
That's
before.
crazy what
I might have
happens.
said that 6 months ago, but
Yeah.
it took me time to find him as the sales manager.
Yeah.
I hired him like 3 months
Yeah.
ago.
Which
Yeah.
I talked to him. He's super dialed in.
He's dialed in,
Yeah.
right? And so I hired him 3 months ago, and I go, hey, we have a huge opportunity to like basically double tomorrow
Yeah.
if you can just dial
Come
this in.
in,
We don't
yeah.
even need more leads. We don't like,
It's literally all here. We just
It-
got to get better.
yeah, we just got to get better at our sales process. And sure enough, he did.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Like it's like when you start to have all these people and all this stuff happening, it's like the opportunity can be such a simple, small solution or small fix, so to say, to make such a massive impact. Like you doubled just by having one person.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty, I mean, that's one person is hard to find, but
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I actually learned this from Hormozy.
Mhm.
So, he talks about ways to generate more revenue for your company, especially an education company like Future Flipper. And, when most people want to generate more revenue, they think about the marketing, right? Like, how do
Mhm.
we get more leads? And we do this in the real estate business too. We
Same
always
thing,
want to
yeah.
spend more money on marketing, right?
Yep.
But, the second lever is, well, how much can we just improve like our process with those
Mhm.
leads? And,
Yep.
in the case of Future Flipper, I was like, a lot.
yeah.
We
We
can-
saw them all.
There's no
I
process.
know we can improve it a ton
Yeah.
without even generating more leads, right? So,
Mhm.
you double revenue just by
Yeah.
getting better, not even worrying about leads, right? So then, but the other thing he talks about too that we've been thinking a lot is, the churn rate.
Mhm.
How do we keep people in these companies for the long haul? How do we
Yep.
increase the lifetime value? And I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping people engaged in the community and renewing and offering new things that they want to be a part of. And
Mhm.
so all those play a role. And so it goes back down to this compound effect, right? Like, I've owned Future Flipper now since 2018. And so our growth has been really weird. Like my first year, I just didn't even like take it seriously. I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
made a course and whatever.
It's like a
and
side thing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't even. It might have made like 30 grand,
Yeah.
And then year 2, same deal. I didn't really take it too serious. I'm like, it might have made like 80 grand or something,
Mhm.
right?
Sure, like, oh, sweet extra money.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
like,
you're
it's
like,
cool.
"That's
Like,
bonus."
I didn't want to promote or push or anything. And then 2020, what was it? Yeah, 2020, I actually did take it serious, and I
Mhm.
took social media seriously. And I want to say we did like 700. I was
Yeah.
like, this is great. And then, last year,
I love.
no, I'm like, this is great. Like, this is a foundation. Like,
hits-
Yeah.
we're really like,
yeah, we're starting to push the boat forward.
yeah. And then I hired a COO,
Uh-huh.
in 2021, Brian Davila. And, I think last year we did almost 4 mil.
Yeah,
And then,
awesome.
now we're talking about 7-figure months now. And
Mhm.
I just think that,
The right people.
yeah, it comes down to the right people. But it's also the compound effect, because what I look at now, when I told you like the big vision, I said, man, there's no reason we couldn't be a $30 to $50 million company a
Yeah.
year, is because I know if we do a good enough job of keeping all the people we currently have, and we're going to get better at marketing and generating
Sales
leads. We're
and
going to get
sales.
better at, we're going to continue to get better in all those things.
Mhm.
And if you can retain the people you have and give them new things that they're going to need,
Yep.
it's just going to compound. And I think overnight, not overnight, but it will look like overnight, but you're going to see it where it's like, dude, what happened?
Well, like
They're
you
now
know,
at 2 to 3 mil.
well, that's like the great thing about like education versus like, wholesaler flip. You have one, you do a flip, you do one that's house is worth whatever you sell and make it for, or make on the house. But with education, like if you keep the client around for 3 or 4 years and they renew every time, they're there for a while, and that lifetime value just goes like this.
recurring revenue.
That's the hard part with house flipping wholesaling. Like you said, man, like there's not a lot of recurring.
Yeah.
And that's why most investors don't think about that, because it's not a business that thrives on
Sellable.
that.
Yeah. Well, it's like up and down because of that.
Yep, 100%. So, and there are ways to try and get recurring. You can try and build relationships with realtors and
Title companies
wholesalers
too.
and title companies that are going to just always feed you deals.
Yeah.
Like that's great. But, it's much easier to measure in a business like education or tax or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're focused on that, and I'm excited for it. And I think the events and everything are just also part of building that community, the social media. So like, and this goes back to the whole thing I said in the beginning of the long game in mind. Like I know that building a YouTube channel and an Instagram is really hard.
Yeah.
And so we're going to start from scratch and just do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to build up, influencers within Future Flipper that are going to have their own power beyond me.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
it's a long game.
And also like with the building the brand for Future Flipper, and also having this massive community of people who support you or in your coaching group or whatever it is. That's like a massive opportunity. Like you start a new business, you just take this pool of people and then it serves them, like e-com. Like once you flip houses, you probably have extra money. You probably want to buy e-com.
Yep.
You do whatever. And like
They feed into each other. Yeah. They need taxes done too.
They need taxes. They might want to invest in a fund.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they definitely do feed in each other. And so that just generates your lifetime value to a whole nother level.
Another level. Yeah.
But even just within one company, we still always want to increase that.
100%.
But we're both in Collective Genius now, and so like with Collective Genius, I've been in there since I don't even remember, like 3 or 4 years. So my lifetime value is pretty high. I mean, I paid over $100,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
you made money.
That's a high LTV.
100%. Yeah.
So
and you're not probably gonna leave.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't really go anymore, but I send
Sean
the team.
Bob still gets a bunch of stuff from it.
It's good for the team, and so as long as it continues to be more valuable than what it costs me,
Exactly.
Why not?
One thing, you can make $60K more. Why wouldn't you do it?
Especially if you guys are wholesaling. Like the last event was like all dispo.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So
I wasn't there.
I know you weren't, but I'm just
what'd
telling
you learn?
you.
Tell me what you learned at the last.
Yeah. So probably the number one thing that like you could implement like tomorrow is like in your disposition process when you're selling deals, is call up other listing agents for comps nearby who sold, and then basically ask them for the other offers that they didn't accept, and like tell them like basically they can get a referral fee from another buyer for you to use them or whatever, the buyer's agent.
Yeah, the reason you do that is because now you're going to be connected with right now already pre-approved, ready to buy conventional buyers. They can pay way more money, and maybe they didn't get the deal obviously that this listing agent had, but that deal right there, now if you can get 5 people, conventional people interested in your property from that one person,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Money.
Yeah, and I think Sean Bob was, now that I remember, he was telling me, he's like, yeah, we need to really build out.
He loved that. Sean Bob loved that one too. That
Sean
what
Bob
we
liked
just
it.
talked about. Yeah.
He was actually in there doing it when we were there yesterday. He was working on it.
Oh, good.
So they're just so you know.
These guys are.
He's
doing
working.
their job.
Man.
That's right.
He's working.
That's right.
He did lose 700,000 that one time.
We'll forget about that. He's working now though.
He's back though.
He's grinding.
He's back in business,
Back
baby.
from jail.
Yep. But anyways, boys, no, dude, it's been great getting to know you guys. I think it's gonna be fun watching what you guys accomplish, because you got your minds right, you got your hustle right, you're wise beyond your years, and I think you're doing all the right actions. I think it's gonna compound really quickly as time goes on. So it's gonna be exciting to see. I'm really appreciative that you guys are gonna be speaking at the mastermind here in the next couple of days. So yeah, man, it's just great, man. Appreciate
Thanks
you
for
guys.
having us. Pineda is going to be a big, helpful relationship to have in these future years. So hopefully we can make Pineda a lot of money too. It's something we do.
That's
There we go, baby. I love it. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you go follow Gino and Chandler on social. We'll link to everything they got below. And as always, leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed this one, man, because that would mean a lot to me. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.